So, hello, this is my second attempt at the video. I actually remembered to turn off the noise gate on my mic this time because I need it off to take out background hiss. My mic is a cheap one, so it gets a lot of hiss. My phantom power pack is a cheap one. That doesn't help. But anyway, on with the video. So, obviously, political season is here. We've got a general election starting up and campaigning has already started. People do wonder about my political positioning. How come I'm a Lib Dem but not a centrist? Why is there not a centrist in every profile I have? I am not a centrist. It is that simple. The reason I'm a Liberal Democrat is because I believe very, very strongly in personal autonomy and small L liberalism as much. Not quite libertarianism, I don't subscribe to that as a political theory. I don't sign up to it. I don't particularly like it. But yeah, certainly liberalism to a point that's near there. Just not, it's not the same. But anyway, so this website is electoralcalculus.co.uk. If you go to its homepage, scroll all the way down to the bottom, I think it's the homepage, you will find a link that will take you to a short survey where you answer a few questions and it generates a graph. You click on plot your position after giving it your postcode and it will tell you where you are on the three axes and roughly where your area is as well. So quick explanation of the axes. Your Z-axis, north-south axis, that's the axis between nationalism and internationalism. Not nationalism as in, Scottish independence, that kind of thing, as in nationalism, well, you know what I mean. Yeah. Con-lib is conservatism, let's get that word right, and liberalism, small c, small l. And then your classic left-right spectrum. And in there you've got that is your basic economic spectrum. I don't think it's that great a measure. My own personal political philosophy considers the emphasis of economics in political theory to be over-considered. Economics is important to consider within political philosophy. I do not think that giving it such prominence is such a good idea. It is a useful tool. It is a useful vehicle. It is not the be-all and end-all of everything. I think too often people get trapped within economic theory as being the only way to solve problems, and you can't think like that. It doesn't work. So, but yeah, that's mini rant. Anyway, so those balls on the graph. How I wish I could get rid of mine. But anyway, they are the 7 tribes of the UK. Basically, Electoral Calculus says there are about 7 political tribes in the UK. The centrists, who are centre. The kind young capitalists. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that, but you can see where they are on that graph. A bit right, little bit internationalist, and right in the middle between liberalism and conservatism, slightly more liberal than conservative, but not by a huge degree. Your centrists are centrist. Your traditionalists are, interestingly enough, economically left, neutral when it comes to internationalism and globalism, slightly internationalist, not more. But it's interesting that traditionalists in the UK are in that position. But then when I say that, of course, I live in an area that's very, very traditionalist in its way. So it is left-leaning, but otherwise not hugely tilting one way or another on nationalism, internationalism, and liberalism and conservatism. It's very much Labour area, has always been a Labour area in terms of MPs. The only time it hasn't had a Labour MP is when the MP defected to the SDP and he was voted out in the next election and Labour MP came straight back in, so it goes like that. And of course you've got your strong lefts, and your progressives. So, quick word about how you plot on these graphs. Obviously, it's tempting to only consider like the z-axis and then one of the x or the y-axes. You can actually compare on between x and y-axes as well. And in fact, it's important to do so. So, where are we on this graph? Where am I? Get my cursor up and running. Hopefully you can see it. If not, I'm sorry, we'll try and sort something out. So, my area is right here. It hovers outside of centrists and neo-traditionalists, and that's about right for where I live. Where am I? Well, I've talked long enough that you can see the little spinny me all the way down there. Yes, I am actually further left than the strong left. But what's very, very interesting is, as I said, when you're looking at this graph, it's important to tell where you are in terms of the XY axis, and I land in that very strange middle ground that exists between left and liberalism. Basically because I exist in a really, really awkward gap that there is between social democracy and social democracy and democratic socialism. I've got huge issues with democratic socialism. I've got issues with social democracy. If I had to be put in one camp, you can stick one toe of me into social democracy, I guess. But I'm actually in between those two positions. Yeah, I am massively an internationalist. That's why I'm right down at the bottom. And yes, I'm very, very much a believer that wealth does desperately need to be redistributed. The capitalism we got is so iniquitous, it is appalling. There are no words that can adequately describe just how much our economic system screws over people. But it's more than that. As I said, we concentrate too much on economics sometimes. It's more than that. It is not just a capitalist system in itself. It is the kind of people it attracts who want to be at the top of that system. And I think that also is what feeds into inequity so much. But yeah, that was my mini rant or mini speech or mini explanation of where my where I lie on the political axes. I think you've seen enough of spinning me. Certainly I have. But yes, if you looked at that, you would kind of swear that actually I should be an anarchist socialist, and I am just not. I am not in any sense an anarchist, because I do not trust people to do the right thing. Don't get me wrong, as individuals, I think people can be truly great, and you can trust a great many individuals. It is that the people who seek power are not necessarily the best people to be in positions of power. Let's face it, people who seek positions of power may do so to have power, and for no other reason than to have power. It is not for the betterment of others, it is for the betterment of themselves. And therefore, I just do not see anarchism as a political theory that holds up when you put it up to the reality of people. It's a shame, but there we go. And not entirely subscribed up to socialist. I don't object to the term. You can use it in relation to me. As I said, I straddle that awkward divide between social democracy and democratic socialism. I just think that in terms of, in describing me as a socialist, it kind of covers up the fact that I'm not in that camp of democratic socialism, and I'm not in the camp of social democracy. So, yeah, it's a not accurate term, I guess. That's about it, really. I'll just quickly scroll down just to show you where I am. My position, economically 100% left, very strongly left-wing. In terms of nationalism, internationalism, 100% international, very strongly globalist. I actually personally do not like and do not I do understand, I just do not like the concept of arbitrary borders between countries. I do not like the idea of nations. I'm weird like that. I just don't like the idea of nations. It goes like that, I guess, sometimes. And then social, I'm 86% liberal. I'd be 100% liberal, except there's a really, really weirdly worded question in here, which asks, do you believe that school children should be taught traditional British values? And to me, that question is utterly meaningless because it does not describe what British values are. Especially traditional British values. Are we talking about a sense of fair play and doing the right thing by other people? That's not a particularly British value. Surely that's basic common decency that should be applied the world over. But on the other hand, what is a traditional British value? Going across the globe, conquering countries and butchering the local population, if not actively engaging in acts of genocide. This also is a traditional British value. I do not want our school children to be taught this. But at the same time, as I said, there are things that are considered traditional British values that, yeah, actually I want children to be taught, but it's such a broad and meaningless term. I do not want school children to be taught that it's perfectly fine to be an empire and to wipe out anybody who is not you. It is not right to go out and subjugate people who are not you. Sorry, it's a rant of mine, and yeah, I mean, it incidentally, I mean, it does tie into my hatred of the idea of arbitrary borders between nations and nations themselves. It's not that things are much better if you take things right down to the levels of tribes, living alongside each other. Nations are essentially just a lot of tribes that end up merging together. We're stupid enough to end up with one person at the top, and, nations are tribes at large, really. But yes, sorry, that is very definitely now the end of my rant. So I will now go and process the sound on this. There won't be any subtitles, I'm afraid. I wish there were. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of time to do subtitles. And I have got an incredibly busy day ahead of me. I am terribly sorry about that. When I do videos, I do try and get subtitles in, but it means pre-scripting what I'm going to say, so I've got the subtitles ready to go and ready to put in things like Lightworks and whatever. But in the meantime, bye.